All right, so we're gonna start this stream. Last time, basic market direction, where we're at so far, how we were last week. We're not gonna go too deep into it before I set up the scanner. I went through a couple charts yesterday, so I have a little bit of a watch list. If you guys have anything you want, put it in the chat. I'll bring it up, but just remember, these are my opinions on stocks. No, not advising you to buy any of these. This is just my game plan. If you do want to take it at your own risk, I'm not liable for any losses. Additionally, if you're interested, I do have a newsletter to go over what exactly I am trading and kind of my opinion onto the market. Kind of go investoratlas.co. If you want to sign up for that, it's $10 a month, $100 a year. Really great newsletter, comes out every week. Also get some trading analysis, trader psychology articles and such. I'm gonna look at the SPY, Dow Jones, and Nasdaq first, kind of see where we were last week. I don't know about you guys. I had a pretty rough week last. No, it wasn't a rough week. That of a few things. We are moving sideways in the SPY, the S&P 500. I mean, we topped out at 395. It's the highest it's ever been, all-time highs. Had a solid pullback green on Friday with a red day. That's okay. Stick to our plans. Stick to our stops. Everything will work out just fine. So with this support level around, we can expect a test of that in the near future. Don't have an exact day for you. Obviously, we can't predict the future, but you can expect that to be a solid level of support. If it gets down to this level, I'll do a lot more heavy. So Dow Jones, same situation. We have a good level of support right around here, 300. It's one of the bigger areas. Around 317. Could get a pullback straight down to 311 bounce, but I mean it's not a far breakout than what. But what concerns me is that it dipped down to 11. Expect a pullback in the markets eventually, the next week or so, if not next week. Can't always continue to go up. Overall, looks good. I mean, we can definitely take some trades. It's even flags out here. Look at the Qs. Big support level around 300. I'd honestly call it 300, 295, 300. And it looks like we're bouncing off support now, 329. So looks like some good buying opportunities in the NASDAQ. And then right now, what's really hot is the small caps. Are always, you can see all the lines I've drawn so far. But from 158, 160, all the way up to 230, incredible run so far. Had a bit of a bounce off the moving averages here, and then we could expect maybe it could go sideways here. I could definitely see that as a possibility. As long as it stays under 230, we could get another move higher in the next few weeks. Interest rates are still practically non-existent, so got some good looks on that. All right, guys, so we're going to kind of dig through charts here. I'm going to start with our scanner. Go to filters. And honestly, like I did last video, all I really search through is volume, just because I'm not going to trade anything with less than $500,000 in the net, 500,000 shares in the last 3 months. This thing wants to cooperate with me. So I'll put that at 500, 60-day, 500, and then 10-day, I'll go to like 100,000. Actually, we'll do 300. All right, and then that's it. Stocks with the largest market cap are going to move the most, so we're going to sort by highest market cap. You might see a few trades on here already that I have already gone through. I actually messed that up. Is Apple not even on here? Let me double check that. We'll just leave that, whatever, open to the floor. All right. So we'll start out with Microsoft. We're just going to click through. Amazon definitely this level of support right around 32.50. Could look at a bounce off that level, move higher. That's definitely a stock to watch, especially with the market cap, higher market cap, more likely to continue direction. Facebook had a hard pullback on Friday. A few more weeks of moving sideways. That air looking solid for a move higher. All the negative news out so far on Facebook isn't helping the stock at all. But you never know. We trade. I trade the stock. News definitely affects it, but see how this one moves higher. This is definitely on the watch list. It's a mover if it can break out, but we just got to make sure it will break out. Let's go ahead here. All right, so we're going to add Amazon really quick. We'll add Facebook. I kept my stop pretty tight. Around 270 was the breakout level. I got in around 267, a little early. It's one of my fallacies. I'll get in too early, and then usually the stock breakout. So 270 was the marker. It moved higher briefly. Not the best volume. I chose not to take any profits. I wanted to leave it, see if it would continue on that breakout. Pulled back, tried to break out again, and then had broke the prior day's low, went lower, and then stopped me out right around 262. Still a great chart pattern. I want to see heavy volume with an inside day if we can get it, and then a move higher through 270. This is still a really solid chart. Earnings still look good. I mean, we're looking at tremendous annual earnings growth, and even quarterly earnings, it's still solid looking. I mean, this is a good stock to be in. Whole news around Jack Ma over in China right now. I'm just going to ignore that. Not really relevant to my style. Visa, this one is one. This is a good one for the list. As long as it gets more consolidation, 211, 212 looks like a solid breakout. It can move. I don't like bank stocks, but it can still move heavy, really, really large base, multi-year base up till actually a year ago. So still looking really solid as a pattern. Just got to be patient with it for it to build up that momentum. Nvidia News, great company. I was in at $500 and then took profits pretty early. Where was it? Yeah, got in around 500 on this break right here. Sold pretty quick up into the 560s, 520s, and but still a good play. I mean, it moved sideways for so long. You expect nothing but upward momentum after that. Mastercard, another bank. They're all cases for possible move higher. Definitely want to keep an eye on them just to make sure we can get. If anything, we could sell some options, sell some puts on it just to get some cash flow moving in. Not a lot of volatility in the games, but gonna get it exercised or assigned on them. Home Depot, solid chart, break of 285. Could see that working out in the near future. Right now is earnings. I don't trade earnings. I don't gamble. So possibly early next week, we'll see how that turns out. I always place an order, a buy stop order. So when earnings do happen and it doesn't gap up, it can still take that trade. Definitely one to keep an eye on. Really great market cap too. Adobe. This one's been on my list for a little while. Break of 500. It's tried it. Keep that on our list. Gotta have some coffee. Abbott was one that was good. Solid breakout. And a lot of these names, I will mark out the text. I'm very specific on what I take, which is in my newsletter of what exactly I'm going to trade that week. And I'll go over the ones I traded last week, show you exactly how those went. I was stuck inside all last week. Freaking blizzard, so had no other option but to trade all day. So build a watch list for you guys. The thing about Pfizer, though, too, is Pfizer came out with some great news with their vaccine, only one dose, regular refrigeration, no special holding rules and stuff like that. You'd expect a fantastic price movement from that. But again, news doesn't always affect the stock the way you think it will. It's not a bad pattern. Oracle. How's it going, guys? If that is a currency pair, I don't look at Forex, unfortunately. Microsoft's not a bad chart. I think I actually was looking at that. Yeah, so the only thing about Microsoft, if you would have gotten in around 215, 212, I actually looked at this a while back, you would be really great. They just started taking off. It just broke out like last month. So right here, if you buy anywhere right here, you're pretty late to the game. You could wait for a pullback back to these support levels around 224, 215, that range, and you could get in. But it moves. It's a solid stock. Has a great market cap. Qualcomm that pulled back under 150, which is that resistance support level. If we get a lot more sideways momentum, it can get above those moving averages and break out of 150 again. Looking for a great chart. But right now, there's really nothing there. LTC, let me check that out for you. So the only technical bullish thing I see for this stock is that it's above all of its moving averages, which is great. Now the only thing you'd want to wait for is for it to form a pattern. I don't see it just yet. But that also depends on your strategy. I usually trade breakouts. Is it past earnings? It looks like it had earnings on Thursday. Yeah, mixed RP. Hype. As a crypto cap or anything like that. If it's anything, does this just track the market cap of the cryptos? Do you know? Because it looks like that's all it does. It looks like 26 billion, 20 going up to 38 billion. So yeah, I don't know too much about that one. With solid earnings, looking at a pullback, we'll get through 245. McDonald's, everybody likes some chicken nuggets, right? Yeah, cryptos, unfortunately, I'm not too versed on it. I can do some research for you guys. Just, it might take me a while to get good at crypto or understanding that entire market regimen. I'm usually just regular old stocks and options, make pretty good money off of it. Obviously, I'm at home in the middle of the day. I don't do anything else but trade. But yeah, if you guys are interested in crypto, I can look into it, see if I can give some insight into it. Technically, at least, I'm not too great on the other stuff when it comes to cryptos. McDonald's 216 breakout. You can even get in at 215.5 or just at 215.75 if you're feeling a little frisky. But that is a solid technical chart. I would honestly trade that one next week if it could have one inside day. So it looks like it's trying to set up. It's a really messy chart pattern for Union Pacific. Not untradeable, just not clean enough for me. Kind of what I'm looking for, though. UPS. This is just one of the tightest ranges I've seen in a stock in a while. It's just holding 156 like it's a concrete wall, and then coming up to 162. And it's several months since back in August, whenever Q4 hit for the retail industry. If it can get above its moving averages, stay above 162, we could probably see it move higher. Lows kind of like Home Depot's. It's a little bull flag right now. Not a great chart pattern setup. Looks like Monday or Tuesday. It's gonna have earnings. Earnings is too close. Zoom is just a fun stock. With last week, everything kind of just went down the toilet, but still find some solid. Good Lord. AMD with the microchip shortage. I think I covered this one last at the beginning of the week when I had the other video. 94 breakout, stuck in the range right. And 94 with the shortage. Prices could jump, could get a nice little spike. And being past earnings, it's a great little setup. Snapchat, that one actually just started taking off recently. I mean, used to be a laughing stock, literally. Never really looked at it too much until last earnings back in October. Their earnings are that great. Yeah, their annualized revenues and stuff are getting better. Quarterly earnings actually was really solid. You can see just that positive slope right there. This could be a good trade. I want this bull flag to form a little more. See how this cluster of moving averages is a little tighter right here. Would want that to continue that trend and consolidate a little more before we trade that. Don't want to get too early into it, but I'll keep an eye on it. Solid. Melly, almost a $2,000 stock. But again, if you've followed me for a while or understand kind of how I trade, it doesn't matter what the price of the stock is necessarily, or if you buy 1 or 1,000 shares, the percentage gain off what you make on that stock is going to be relevant. So you could take a 20% move out of Melly and still make a lot of money versus buying a dollar stock and then it moving 20 cents. So if you keep that perspective, it doesn't matter what you trade or how much that stock costs, you can make a pretty solid income. I need to add that one actually because that one looks like it's about to go. And earnings is about a week out. Actually, end of next week. Short month. Frustrates me every time. Snow break of 300. It's playing with this level. You got 300 to 340. Very volatile stock. You can make a good amount of trades from it. It just has to get and stay above 300. If we can get back in the range of 300 to 340, have a little bit of playing room right there. I could see it moving sideways if we can get above 300. We'll see what the earnings say this next beginning of March and see what that says. SPGI, not bad. Little earnings flag. Move through 340. Not my bread and butter though. Yeah, ATVI, I took that trade, 82 breakout. NFY, lower price stock with lower cap, and not cap, but smaller stocks, smaller companies. I really like to dig into some of the fundamentals, see exactly how this business is doing. Really good. And quarterly still looks good. So this is something we could trade, to be honest. Shall I add that one? Earnings flag. Nice, actually perfect example of an earnings flag. So looks like we came out with great earnings on CB. And it's forming the flag, moving sideways. What you're going to look out for, I probably won't trade this one, but looks like a solid 166.50. Maybe a little low 3 for its support. So if we can move higher, move a little sideways, wait for these guys to catch up, could look to go higher. ADP, want to move sideways, create a little more consistent pattern under 172, 173, could see a move higher. I had a short play on here. I have to find it, but I think it was Flowers. If anybody's into Flowers delivery services, I think it is. They have, it looks like a good short play. FLO, I believe, is the ticker. So this is a good one. It's pretty much starting to break out. It's not too late to get into this name. Just be careful if you decide to trade this, because it does kind of poke above and then jump back down. It might pull back and then consolidate for one more day before taking off, but 165, 166 looks to be a solid breakout for Crown. Looks like a bounce through Microsoft again. Looks like we're cycling back through some charts really quick. Sometimes it does this. It'll like think for a minute. How's it going? CSX, ENB, CME. See if we get a cycle back on this again. Yeah, back up to Microsoft. We'll go over what I already have kind of in place. So gonna go week XL. I thought this one had a lot more potential in it than it did. I don't trade usually stocks that are this price or this volatile. Has a pretty solid short interest. I think it was like 20%. But anyway, I believe, no, not 1850. I got a 1950. So right around here, and I was waiting for the break of 20, because the break of 20, maybe even 21 would have been great, but it took falling going forward. I actually went pretty large on this one too, because I could have bought 300 or 400 shares, but like I said, not everything works out. Took it out pretty quick. Lower volume, not lower, lower and the downside. They always say you take the stairs up, elevator down in the stock market. Very true. Discussed this one, 270 breakout, got stopped out. You could even take it again. Things were pretty good too. And we took this trade, APPN, got in right here, wasn't close enough to really looking to break out. Still liked it. Got no reason I don't trade earnings. Let's see which one I put together. It's this guy right here. So Spotify discussed last week, or at the beginning of this week, said it would probably break out around 342, this area, just because on Monday it was, or Tuesday it was, or the Friday, I'm sorry, before the week ended, it was looking ready to go. This is one of the better stocks I've traded. It's because it forms base, breakout, base, breakout. It's like copy paste. This was in my newsletter as well. So a lot of people took this trade. Moving higher, still going to move higher, I'm sure, and probably a small pullback, but looks to move higher. Wayfair looks good through 300. A few more days of consolidation. It's a really big really big green candle. Whenever that happens, people are going to need to take a break, blow some steam off, and then for a move higher, it'll take a few days. Talked about Home Depot. ROK still looks good through 250. Probably don't need a few days. Needs to really break out of that move. You want to keep your stop a little bit more loose than you would on other trades, just because it has a little more time to go sideways. This is one of the stocks where I kind of gave an example of not to trade earnings because of this huge red candle it had on earnings. Like if you were in, you had 100 shares, you're instantly down like $1,200 right there. And then, but it did bounce off the moving average straight back up to almost 165. It's going to take a while before that cools off and continues higher. But if it keeps building that flag, you can expect to move higher. If you guys have any charts you want me to check out, just put them in chat. I'll bring them up, run them down if you need them. Looks like a pretty slow day. Let's see why this isn't working. So this is a stock I sold some options on, just below $200 strike. Brought in a couple grand on it. Scared the crap out of me though, just because this big red candle. We're down. I was down a couple $100 at a time, and then moved higher up through 200 again. Really confident on this play. If you know options, it's gonna right before earnings. I'm gonna get out of the trade just because that volatility after. LAZR is a good trade for next week. Move through 35. Earnings, just realize it's coming up on the 3rd. So since we're pretty slow, doesn't look like a ton of charts coming out for next week. I'll go over what I really in. So obviously chart pattern, biggest thing, bull flag, forming a base. You want to break out to the higher. Cheap stocks tend to get cheaper over time. If you buy a house, you want it to appreciate. So you want to look at, this company is expensive or high priced for a reason, such as Spotify or, you know, Apple or your Tesla and things like that. Obviously, Tesla right now, profit wise. But there's layers of probability, things that stack up that allow your trade to work out better 50-50. Chance that it could or could not work out. So these layers of probability allow you to determine on if that trade is is within your risk. A few different examples and kind of what I look for in the trading view platform allows me to really dig into this pretty well. So we'll look at Chewy, for example. So with Chewy, it's going into the top right corner, means this stock is moving up. It's a bullish stock. It has a very bullish outlook. You have all your moving averages pointing straight up to the right-hand corner. I can look up APLE and give me just 1 second. I'll do that for you, man. So it's moving up to the top right corner. It's not moving down. So we have a pretty solid direction. Next thing I want to look for is there a level to buy at? So like support, resistance. 114, 115, if I were going to trade this stock, would look like a great point to get in. I'd set my stop order there. A few other things I'm going to look at is literally just this chart right here. You don't have to dig into the numbers to understand what positive growth looks like. So we have annualized earnings and quarterly. It looks pretty solid to me. I mean, there's no down pretty much. There's nothing that's in the red at this time. Looks pretty great. Your balance sheet, pretty positive. And cash flow looks pretty great. I mean, some companies are going to struggle and still shoot up. I mean, you have GameStop who filed for bankruptcy and they shot freaking to $400. And there's stocks that are going to happen. But if we look at, and this is a lot of things that people give me to look at, and there's a few reasons you don't want to trade these types of stocks. So Tops, for example. I remember this stock was trading back in 2017 and people are crazy about it. Shot up to 56 million. It's not a 56 million. It's gone through multiple splits and reverse splits and to get that price point. But what people tunnel vision on is this chart right here. Cool, looks good. I mean, that's the flag that trade that if it extends a little longer. It's above its moving averages. Things are pointing to the right. Zoom out. Look at the total picture of the stock. If it's just now going up, there's a chance it's not going to continue going up. And this it's so not even funny. You're not going to make much money off this stock. Yeah, and it doesn't even have quarterly income. It's not even allowing me to look at it. And that could be because it's not a stock. So APLE, let's see. Yeah, I mean, looks good. So we're going to zoom out, kind of what I was talking about there. It is a bit of a downtrend so far, longer term downtrend that's going to have a lot of people. And the reason this is not the best sign, because you have a lot of overhead. So all the people that bought in right here and are still holding, whenever this price point gets back up to these $18, $19 level, those people that are still holding, they're going to want to sell their shares back to you. And that's going to keep the price down pressure. And we don't know how much overhead there is. There could be a lot because this thing moves sideways for a while. It's kind of in a range. If you're smart, get out of your trade quick, move on. This does short-term look like a solid, well, it did look like a solid. It had a pattern right around $13, $50, $14 right here. If you would have bought this breakout, you'd be solid for a little while. If you're over 20% gain in the stock, trim some, hold the rest for a while, see where it takes you. Move your stop to break even. But yeah, if you are in this name, if you're already trading it, you're already invested in it, just be aware 18, 19, it's going to have a little bit of trouble breaking up higher than that for a while. I want to show you all that short play, and I don't short stocks, but this is yeah, absolutely. So I don't really dig too much into the bond rate. The only thing I worry about as a stock trader, option trader, is going to be interest rate. It affects both stocks and options pretty directly. With bonds, who guess? I couldn't even give you an assessment on that. I know that doesn't sound too professional, but I'm a technical trader. Once interest rates get raised, that's when I'll start looking more short plays and things like that. But bonds, they just don't offer the return that I'm looking at, that I currently get in my trades. It's going to, in general, the next 10 years in the economy is going to be unprecedented, because we've never encountered such strife and difficulties that we've had this past 2 years almost. And the new administration and things like that, we just, especially in the US. I know a lot of you aren't from the US, but so with this is Flowers Foods. Industry is weak, pretty much below all of its moving averages. I'm pretty sure this is going to go lower. Like I could tell you that this is probably going to go lower. If you would take a short play, I don't take a short play, but if I were, this would take it for points, then move on out. But you see earnings, even it didn't do anything on earnings. It's below all its moving averages. If you flip this chart upside down, it looks like a bull flag or a base that's going to break out high. You can like type a negative sign in front of the ticker and it flips the chart upside down. I don't know if this does it. I can try it now. Let's see if I can. See exactly what the situation is. But yeah, you put your stop loss right up here, 2260, just about roughly above these moving averages for a short position, and just ride it, trade. So, but that's what I look for in a short play. It's just the reverse of what I take on the long side. And this was one I was going to take last week too, and I missed it. I had it on my radar, and I just got distracted with being snowed in, and excuse after excuse. But nice little third attempt on this 150, 151 level, and then just clean candle breakout. When it does that, when you have just a solid volume candle to either side, you can expect continuation to continue, that move to continue. Strength flows over to the next day. Same thing as weakness. The only thing about this is a lower volume stock, so that spread's going to be a little higher. But overall, not a bad play if you were in it. Index, I traded this one up through 130. Again, technical analysis, just horizontal line. If you can draw a horizontal line, you could be a stock trader. Not rocket science. This one's also forming another bull flag up here around 144. Watch this. Ready? Boom. Makes sense now. So you could see where it leaves that area with volume, you could get another move higher. Obviously 50-50, but you're more likely to catch that move higher. Another trade I took last week with options, at least going forward, is PDD. Really solid, moving forward, moving up. Volatility, earnings is coming up, but I'm going to be out way before then. And growth looks really good, especially within the last 3 or 4 quarters. Well, 3 quarters, I should say. Yeah, potential FLO. I can go over it again for you. It's actually let me see. FLO. So 22. It's just the reverse of a bull flag, upside down. Third try, you have first try of that level here. Try of that try. So usually on the third try within a pattern, it's going to break. Sometimes it doesn't. It takes sometimes 4, 5, 6 times, and it'll break down. But you can see it's been holding 22 for a while. And what really just red, sinking the price right below all the moving averages. And this one, earnings didn't do anything to the chart. Had an inside day, if anything, and then it continued to move lower. So a few more days, you could short play loss, especially on a short play. You just never know. There's infinite loss ability on a short play. Yeah, I'd use a stop order just to sell below 22. Because the computer all day, I like to live life, go to the park with my dog, do things like that. So I'll set a few stop loss orders or stop buy orders or stop sell orders, whichever, to put me in a trade while I'm not watching. So this one would be like a profile while I'm gone, and once I see it execute, I'll put a stop loss in for it. If it never executes, I'm not going to lose sleep over it. I really go into work mode whenever it executes. But yeah, godsend. really that, and like I said, 99.9% of my trades are to the long side, but this is just too obvious of a chart pattern. And if we even look longer term out, I mean, it's just a sideways chart. Like that's a huge base on 22. Even if it doesn't go all the way down to 0, which I doubt it ever will, you'll still get a few points off of it and then get out quick. Don't get greedy with it. But I mean, same thing for spot. This thing just keeps breaking out nonstop. Yeah, of course. So let's see, what else do I have? AYI. And like I said, last week really kind of butchered a few of these plays just because everything was setting up so perfect, and now it kind of pulled back. We got to wait a few more days for it to set right back up. With the stock market being at highs, anything's possible. So 126 on AYI looks good. Earnings is in April, so you got some time to trade that one. Earnings is kind of slowing down, moving to the downside, but still a lot of potential in its technical chart. NTRA looks good through 120, maybe a few more days. I really like the 50 to catch up to the rest because that's really a bullish moving average, short term at least. All right, so I'm gonna cut this one at just now. It's gone over a few things. The screener's not acting perfectly. I'll build the watch list from scratch next time for you guys. But if you are interested, go to investoratlas.co, and I have a newsletter that comes out every week. It's actually going out tomorrow morning with next week's trades. It has entry levels, stop loss levels, and profit taking levels. So give it a look. Visit the site. Also, you get some other weekly or monthly distributions of our newsletter. But you know, it's $10 a month, $100 a year, super cheap, super affordable. Give you some ideas to base your week's trades off of. Tend to take some responsibility, own it. All right, guys, take it easy.